As one of the newest luxury brands to come to America just 3 short years ago, Genesis has been kind of facing an uphill battle, which is why I'm out here at the 2019 LA Auto Show taking a look at this. This is the significantly refreshed 2020 Genesis G90. Let's take a first look. So when the new G90 was introduced a couple of years ago, one of the criticisms that it had was somewhat of a bland design. You can see for the refreshed model, Genesis has changed everything except for the doors and the roof. The first thing I want to talk about, how could you not notice it? This massive chrome blingy grille. This is showing a new design language for Genesis that basically the rest of the model lines will use, and I'm not sure how I feel about this grille. I'm not sure how I feel about the size of it, the proportions with the headlights. It's definitely going to stand out. It kind of reminds me a little bit of maybe like a Bentley mixed in with some old school Oldsmobile vehicles from like a decade ago. Regardless, it's definitely going to get people talking. The radar sensor for the adaptive cruise control, you can see, is right there in the center of the grille, but it is nicely integrated, so you have to look for it to find it. These headlights, they're also very polarizing. They're full LED headlights. There's this new LED strip that kind of goes right through the headlights, whereas the low beams are on the top, the high beams are on the bottom. No fog lights on this particular one. Down here, you don't have any aggressive air intakes. The one thing that Genesis doesn't offer on the G90 is a sport package, because remember, this is their flagship sedan that's supposed to be about comfort. I think that they should consider offering a sport package to make this thing look a little bit more standoutish. Now, underneath the hood, they haven't changed a thing. You still have your choice between a 3.3-liter twin-turbo V6 with 365 horsepower or a 5-liter V8 with about 420 horsepower. You can take a pick between rear or all-wheel drive. All that power flows out through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, in terms of the rest of the proportions, as I said before, everything except the doors and the roof have changed, so the proportions also haven't really changed. These wheels that I'm also seeing on this refreshed model, they are quite interesting. A lot of spokes, but I guess it kind of goes with the overall theme of this vehicle. You have 245 width tires at the front. These are a 19-inch wheel, and they do look very distinctive. They go with the rest of the theme. Now, I'm noticing the headlight design that is kind of carried over here on the fender, and unlike some of the competitors which kind of have more of a coupe-like look to it, this has a traditional 3-box shape. I really think it looks a lot like a Lincoln, maybe a Lincoln Continental from the side profile, so it's a little old manish to me. I wish that there was a sport package that made this thing look a little bit more youthful versus the current design theme they're going for. Now at the back, the kind of more mature design language carries through. It's definitely more distinctive. I'm just not sure I love it as much as the previous generation or the pre-refreshed model. As you can see, Genesis is now spelling out the name Genesis right across the back as opposed to using their split wing emblem. You can see it's got a G90, this one here, a G90 badge. This one here is the 5-liter V8 with all-wheel drive. And then you have these integrated exhaust tips which actually mimic the shape of the front grille. They have that additional bottom portion there that kind of makes it look like a shield. So nice consistent design theme here. Now opening up the trunk, you can see this is a big sedan and it offers a fairly good amount of trunk space. I believe what it measures is around 17 cubic feet, which is again larger than what you're going to find in something like a mid-size family sedan and much larger than what you're going to find in the G70. But overall, let me know what you think below in the comments section, what you guys think of the refreshed design of the G90. Now, with any flagship sedan, the interior is the more important aspect versus the exterior, because this is where you're going to be spending most of your time. Now, for the interior of the G90, Genesis didn't make too many changes because they didn't really need to. This interior already was a lot nicer than some of its competitors. It has some, blending here of Mercedes with Lexus, maybe with some Audi. I think it's still a really nice place to spend time. This cream colored combination with the contrasting stitching, the real wood, the real metal, the open pore wood on this particular one, looks really classy, looks really elegant, looks pretty expensive. You have a 12-inch infotainment system here that is kind of similar to Hyundai with their Blue Link, but again, it's kind of their own Genesis branded system. This center stack over here on the instrument panel doesn't have a full LCD, which is interesting because most competitors do a full LCD here. I do like the power tilt telescoping steering wheel. I like how it's a beige color, but remember, if it's light color wheel, it's going to get dirty if you guys are constantly touching this is what you're going to do. It's the steering wheel. There's real leather stitching here on the door panels, metal controls here for the windows. Everything in here feels really expensive. It doesn't feel like I'm sitting in a Hyundai product, which is good. You have tech features like full driver assistance tech. You have a premium sound system by Lexicon, which is one of the best sounding sound systems you can hear. You have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. There is no panoramic sunroof, which surprised me. Most competitors offer something like that. But overall, it definitely feels roomy in here and comfortable. These seats are heated and cooled, but I don't think Genesis offers massaging seats, which is something that most of the competition offers. So kind of keep that in mind. But most people who have a car like this, sometimes have a driver. So let's hop into the back seat and see what the space is like. Now, the back seat of the G90 was actually a really nice place to spend time before the refresh. And with this refresh model, Genesis didn't really make any changes. They didn't need to. This one here, being fully loaded, has like the ultimate package where you have the LCDs here with the rear seat entertainment system. The seat itself, it actually has multiple ways of recline. You can actually make this thing recline back. And then with the front, being on this side, I can actually move the front passenger seat here with some controls. There's also some controls over here to kind of give me more legroom, which is good because in terms of legroom space, the G90 actually has less space versus some competitors like a Mercedes, like the BMWs or the Audis. Thankfully, there's a lot of features in here to keep rear seat passengers entertained. You can see your own set of climate controls, heated and cooled back seats. I can literally open and close all these vents. There's this nice little vanity mirror here so you can check your makeup or check your hair before you go to your event that you're planning. And then you can see here, there's some nice storage here. There's a USB power outlet, but it would be nice, honestly, to see some panoramic sunroof back here, at least to let in a little bit more light. There's plenty of LED lighting. There's leather stitching here on the actual grab handle, which is really impressive. So overall, you feel like you're sitting in a very luxurious environment, and it's really including a lot of the features that you're gonna mostly find in some of the competitors, but it's just not quite as roomy in terms of the leg space. Now, one of the best selling features of the Genesis brand has been their strong value, and even though this is their flagship model, the current generation, or the 2019 model, starts at around $70,000 if you guys want to buy one. Now, of course, they don't have final pricing yet on this completely refreshed model. I'm going to expect it's going to be a little bit more, but it's still going to be a lot less than most of the competitors. I'm going to estimate that something like this with the 5-liter V8 is going to be just under $80,000, which is about 20 to 30 grand cheaper than most of the competitors. And you can also pick this up starting in December. Genesis says it'll be heading to your local Genesis dealer starting in the December of 2019. For Redline Reviews here at the 2019 LA Auto Show, I'm Sofyan Bey.